Hello, you're listening to Coffee and Culture. We're on Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, streaming at santafe.com every Saturday and also on Sunday or just after 2 p.m. Podcasts of past shows that I've done, you can find on your favorite podcast platform at, what is it? Oh, at Coffee and Culture with Matthew Chase Daniel. I'm here today, and my name is Matthew Chase Daniel, which is why you can find it under that name. I host every other week, and I'm here with Sydney Cooper, who I've known for a bunch of years here in Santa Fe. We both moved to Santa Fe around the same time, 90, 91, 89. And we were both born in the same year, in the mid-1960s. And so we have some shared history, which we don't need to go into. But Sydney is here. We're at her new studio project, building, restoration, history, archive project in the Pojoaque Valley. And it's the old Sena's store. Yes. Is that right, Sydney?
Yes, it was. There are many different names, yes.
Yeah. So Sydney is a resident, was in June and also now in September at the Santa Fe Art Institute working on this archive and this project. She's also working on the building itself, which is a big multi-year project of combination of restoration and also renovation and rethinking and reworking. Beautiful, beautiful building. And as part of all this, there will be a community open house, and we'll mention this again later in the show, on Wednesday, September 17th, which is this coming Wednesday, from 5:30 to 7:30. And
at the Santa Fe Art Institute.
At the Art Institute, okay.
On the Midtown campus.
Yeah. So, welcome, Sydney.
Thank you.
Great
welcome
to be
to
here. Yeah, so nice. Sydney just walked me around the property and showed me the main building and the other building and the upstairs and the back room and the. It's a wonderful thing, and you've been working here in the valley on this house and another house for how many years?
I'm terrible at years.
3 or 4 or 5?
4.
Yeah. And you've sort of, as part of being here and living here and working here, you've really gotten to know members of the community. And part of it is because the building here, which is on, what's the name 84. Of the street? Old Highway 84.
No, yes, and Grazing Elk Drive.
Grazing Elk was sort of a center of the community for years.
Yes.
And when was this? It was a gas station. It was a grocery store.
It was a mercantile store. I believe, we don't have the exact date, and that's one of the things that will arise. But I believe around 1911. Say, the house next door is more mid 19th century,
right.
Mid 1800s.
And it was run originally by the Sena family.
Yes, and they Pablo and Josefa were everything to this community, really. They were, the mayors and the counselors and the bank really helped a lot of families through the Depression. Mm-hmm. And it was the center of, a gathering place.
Yeah. And they were from the valley.
Yes.
And then built this and opened it as a store.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it evolved over time, closing in 1964. So it's quite a long...
60 years ago.
Yeah. And, isn't that amazing?
61.
Yeah. And it's had many incarnations since.
Right.
But still, there are plenty of people. I mean, I'm looking out in front of us. We're at this kind of curve where really it's 3 roads meet next to the junior high school, down the road from the Catholic Church, and at the sort of apex of the old road to Los Alamos.
Right. So this is Old Highway 84.
Yes.
That before the road that most people know now, which is a big highway zooming through the landscape. Yes. This is a little back road a little deeper in the valley under the trees.
Yes.
Charming.
It really is incredibly charming, and it was the road that, when the evil empire of Los Alamos was built. I'm also, you know this, but I'll share with others.
Please, yeah.
I'm half Japanese American and Jewish American as well, and so it's kind of an interesting thing. My mother was born in a relocation camp in Colorado,
right?
So living in the shadow of Los Alamos is an interesting place for me to be,
right?
Potent.
Yeah, very much so.
Yes.
And Jewish also.
Yes.
The whole World War II era, as an American, World War II era Jewish Japanese, very significant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I don't shy away from that biz. Interestingly, you're looking outside at a bunch of, the height of season flowers and vegetables in the front. So that was the first thing I did really that was public facing.
Yeah.
Is work on my garden. And I have found in northern New Mexico, I lived in Chimayo for 17 years.
Yeah.
And my partner and I were, part of the Acequia Association. He was a mayordomo. I was, part of it. And I was the secretary of a mutual domestic water association. So I found that water and plants are a way to into northern New Mexico communities that are very natural and what would I say?
Well, I would say that it's a form of generosity. Like everyone who drives down this road and slows to go around this corner, and I felt this when I drove up. I was like, all these cosmos and zinnia and sunflowers and marigolds and just this abundance of water, plants, life, beauty. I mean, flowers are flowers for people, and they're flowers for bees, and they're great attractors.
Absolutely.
And they bring people and insects and all sorts of animals together. Yeah. And you said there's a skunk that's digging in your flower bed.
Right.
And I don't have skunk out at my house.
Right. Well, there's a acequia right across the road and a lot of trees, and the water table is very high here, which is wonderful. The whole, I don't know if you know this, but if you look at a Google map, David showed me this, this valley is really the drainage for both the Sangres and the Jemez, if you look at it from outer space.
Right, it all comes, and it all runs to the Rio Grande, which is just a little west of here.
Exactly, and this road is called Grazing Elk. This was an incredible indigenous hunting corridor forever.
Right.
And people, it's a civilized place, and it always has been.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's land, as we were driving around, you're saying this is Pojoaque Pueblo land, this is
San
old land grant land, this is San Ildefonso. So it's a very rich place and rich history and property ownership all over the map.
Yes. I don't think you can come here and buy a place and feel you own it.
Right.
Right? It's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah, I was just talking with someone in LA who teaches property law at UCLA, I think. And she was talking about how in most of the world and in England, where our property law sort of originated from, you don't actually own the property. You lease it for 100 years and you buy houses and things. And the United States, we have this concept that we own the land, which we probably don't.
Right.
And that that's not the norm, even though you don't know that. So she educates people.
I love
that was very
I'd love
interesting.
To hear more about that. In my experience, I mean, who lives somewhere more than 100 years? Very few people.
Right.
Many people in this valley have, but I'm not one of them.
Right. And also those leases automatically renew. It's in a way a background, sort of a formality. Yeah. Like people don't think of it as leasing it, but legally that is how it works in the UK.
Well, I'd like to learn more about that.
Yeah. Anyway.
So the garden. So
Well, wait, before we get more into that, we need to go to a break.
Great.
We'll be right back. I'm talking with Sydney Cooper about her place on grazing elk in Pojoaque. You're back with Coffee and Culture. I'm talking with Sydney Cooper. We're on Talk Radio 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, streaming at santafe.com, and podcasts of past shows. Some are on santafe.com, and older ones that I've done are on chasedaniel.com or whatever podcast platform you want to listen on. We were talking about you were about to talk a little bit more about flowers.
Well, my mother giggles about this, but I was out there with her weeding and deadheading and stuff, and someone pulls over in a van. It's the flower lady. And I said, oh, God. My mother was like, oh, that's the best thing you could ever be called in your life. Really, right? And I've just experienced tremendous kindness, joy, friendship, open-heartedness. People pull over, and I have a couple good places just to pull over and to the side or in the front of the studio, and they'll pull over and say, hey, I got my first record in there in 1950, blah, blah. We used to come by and get penny candy. Mr. and Mrs. Sena, when our family were completely broke, would always have at Christmas a little sack with an orange, a nut, and one of those beautiful ribbon candies.
Right.
And the expression is just incredible, and the love. Yeah,
you sent me an article that I read from the New Mexican. I don't know when that was, about Mis Christmas.
Yes.
Which was a tradition. You can talk more about it, but it was a tradition of kids on Christmas morning.
Yes.
Waking up super early and walking around. In the article, they relate it to trick-or-treating, but it's not that. Singing carols and going door to door, greeting people and sort of sharing, giving a song, and collecting little treats.
Yes. And at times people were really incredibly, culturally rich, but dollar poor.
Right.
And so this was getting something lovely and sweet.
Right, which was, a little piece of candy or a little piece of fruit or a nut was a real treat.
Absolutely. And so I've been the recipient of so many of these wonderful stories and realized pretty quickly, wow, this is an awesome responsibility.
Yeah.
And because the building is so public and it was falling into disrepair after many years as different, used for different purposes. I just felt like, well, this is an awesome responsibility that I don't necessarily feel belongs to me. And have been sitting for a very long time with how to acknowledge the interests and desire of the community for a gathering place.
Right.
Where, to my mind, this is my art studio, and finally I get to be alone and make art after being, a mother and a business owner and 8 million other things.
Right. So you have this big, beautiful studio that's all yours, and you can be alone and not be bothered, except people will be knocking on the door every day.
Exactly. And, but, I'm a very social person, and that's an aspect of my personality for sure. And I've been working, as you have, for many years. It's part of my practice. We share that, right? Where we have this, I think, tell me if you disagree, but this distinct kind of, almost meditative relationship to our artwork that we do from ourselves for the world.
Yeah.
But it's a more traditional sense, perhaps, of what an artist does.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean.
Well, making objects and in your studio, and then people maybe look at them at an exhibition, and you might sell something or you might not. But
I used to do that a lot more.
Yeah.
And I used to enjoy that. And I used to enjoy spending time in the studio and just being by myself and maybe listening to music or not, or outside making things. And I had this sort of very busy energy of just wanting to be using my hands and making things all the time. And then those go out in the world in the way you described to galleries. In recent years, I've had less of a desire to do that and more a desire to sort of help other people make their work or help other people get their work out in the world. And that through running Axel Contemporary with Jerry Wellman, my pal, or through doing big wheat paste stuff on the Lena Wall, or through doing this radio show podcast, and many other things that I'm involved in. It's more like of an arts enabler than a maker.
Exactly.
And so
I am an archive enabler.
Right.
It's not necessarily something I'm creating, but I'm holding the space. Mm-hmm. I'm facilitating people meeting each other or holding this space. Many of the people I've had more than one discussion with who are interested in being involved. Retired school teachers, administrators, artists, people from all walks of life who have their constituencies, their friends groups, and some of them are saying, "Hurry up! My friends are all dying, and I really want to record this."
Right.
So often I get the question, "What form is this going to take?"
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So there's you shot a video. It's long, maybe an hour. Of a guy who goes by Maximiliano.
Yes.
Oliver
Yes.
and Juan.
Yes.
Local guy, older guy.
Yes. Neighbor of my sister who lives in Nambe across the road. Amateur historian. I haven't seen his archives yet, but he's got archives. Uh-huh. And he's written a book.
Right.
So I asked him, are you willing to come sit in this space? The space we're sitting in was the former car mechanic shop. In the front of the space near where the gas pump and the well were. Right. Would you be, I'll have coffee and tea, people, and sit around a table like this. Yeah. With perhaps video capability, sound capability for sure, and none of it if you don't want it, right? And once a month, once a week, oh yeah, sure, I'd love to. I'm interested in that. And so that I don't know what the final form or forms I would imagine it will take.
Well, it seems like it could be audio recordings, it could be transcriptions of audio recordings, it could be a book, it could be, and video and all of those forms, old photographs. Yeah, is that this building?
That's this building, and that's Mr. Sena. And look at the Pueblo-style portal there. Yeah. With vigas coming out of
both sides. Yeah. Those are really hard to get them to weave those together in the middle, like a lattice on a
So
apple
that
pie.
was given to me by one of his granddaughters. Mm-hmm. And this is another photograph that was given to me.
Beautiful.
Of one of the...
women and a baby.
Yep. And children and the school teacher who lived across the way, and that's in front of this space. So I do envision, visual ephemera. Maybe we'll make a book. I mean...
It could be a book. It could be a website. It could be a physical bookshelf in the building.
Yeah, and likely all of that. Yeah. But I really do want to hold that for the participants and really how they want to.
And this space that we're sitting in, which is the side room off of the main room, you're envisioning as some sort of, did you say some sort of community space or gathering space that's not just your space?
Exactly.
So the studio's your space, and of course people come and visit and all that. But then this is a space that can convene those meetings and other meetings.
Yes, and I'm deputy mayordomo, and I definitely conceive of using the bigger space for concerts and things like that. Yeah. So I have all my work tables on rollers, and
so you can go through that beautiful. I mean, it's church-like, even though it's a mercantile store. Right? It's got that northern New Mexico, pretty wide room, but very long room. Yes. There's a loft in part of it, and then a pitched roof, open, so it has that airy dance hall
Exactly.
feeling.
Exactly. And it's really, truly a dream come true.
Yeah.
I've always wanted, a former commercial space as a studio space, and it being Adobe is a plus. It's
Yeah. And you were saying your father had a commercial space in Taos when he first moved here from
did.
LA, and that was your sort of first introduction to New Mexico, was through a...
He had the Ranchos Trading Post, which is right on the highway up above the Ranchos Church. You know where that is?
Is it across the highway from the Martinez Hall, or
No, it's up the hill.
up the hill?
So when you sort of get to the top rise, where you would come out of the National Forest into Ranchos and head into town, it's right there on that corner.
Yeah. I was just up in Talpa, which is that way.
Back that way.
Yeah. We at the wonderful little farmers market at what used to be a school and is now a community center and a library.
Oh, wow, I didn't know.
And a little farmers market. And we were up there with Axel doing our traveling community radio station.
Wonderful.
And that was great because we were recording and people were coming in sort of like what you're talking in here and telling us stories of their families and the village and all of that. I'm back here with Sydney Cooper talking about archives and villages, and go ahead.
Life in New Mexico.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned in Chimayo was, and in New Mexico in general, what I really love about New Mexico is it's not strange to be an artist.
Right.
It's not strange to be an artist, a community activist, a craftsperson, a builder, and a entrepreneur.
Right.
And a poet, and a dancer, and and a healer.
Yeah.
So, and I've listened to some of your interviews, and often so many of the people that you're interviewing are deeply engaged in community.
Yeah.
In the for me, in the end. You were saying how you've shifted your practice. I have as well. I would just say broaden my practice.
Right.
And my understanding of what it is to be a, citizen, a creative person, a community member, a friend.
Yeah.
A resource for others as we get older, for younger people.
Yeah, we have responsibilities to
Absolutely.
the communities that we're a part of.
Yeah.
And what you're saying about it's not odd to be an artist and a this and a that. Mm-hmm. I've driven to Los Alamos many times on the main road, and I've visited friends on these back roads, but I've never driven past the church and past the store and the school and what's sort of the center of Pojoaque Village at this point. Mm-hmm. And the line camp is right there. And it's very different now because of the main highway. Yes. Which is very close, and Buffalo Thunder and all of that.
Yeah, it's my hood. I love it.
Yeah. And so I imagine it was much different before that highway.
Yes, and having those
became that built up.
I think you heard a little bit of that conversation with Oliver.
Yeah.
Where he was talking about there was a flume, which is like a carved out log.
Right.
Which I think there's one in Las Trampas you can see.
Yeah, where the acequia crosses a river.
Exactly.
Or to come to the other side.
Exactly. And there was a flume crossing what is now the highway, but what was the old road to Taos.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I missed that in the talk.
It's,
that's amazing to think of that there, because that log would have to be 500 feet long now.
Exactly. But I'm sitting in the car with him, which is super sweet. And in that video, he's pointing up and he can see it.
Right.
And I said...
From his Toyota Avalon.
Exactly. I said, hey, can we draw a map of your memory of the places over the existing map of what is there? And he said, oh, absolutely. I'd love to do it. And he said, but, it changed in time. And I said, well, we could do it maybe like on translucent paper, so you could do like this was from 1910 to 1920.
Yeah.
And this is, right? So that may be an actual artwork that he and I can make together, that we can collaborate on, and that we can show in this space.
That's fantastic. The other thing I was saying before is like this valley, there's a lot of artists who live here now, you and Miranda and Bruce Gray and Amy Jo and Michael and Mei Ting and people I know, people you know.
Yes.
But there's also a history going back further. Martha Graham was
Yes.
married up the street, and Katie Wells
Yes.
had his compound there,
Yes.
and on and on and on.
Yes.
And then before that, or also maybe contiguous with that time, this was the road to Los Alamos.
Yes.
So there were scientists and workers who would stop by here, take this road. This was the little mercantile store active at that point. And before that, and continuing now, so back, 1,000 years and continuing to this day, the Pueblos all here doing their work and their life, which was a great integration and still is of art and daily life.
Yeah, it was fun. I was at a Democratic Party meeting, and there's this great, big, handsome Native American dude standing there who's, up pretty high in the Democratic Party. And I looked at him, I said, "Do I know you?" He said, "I feel like I know you." And he said, "Oh, I know who you are. You're the flower lady." And I said, "Oh, do you drive that van, the Pueblo van, Pojoaque Pueblo van, but it's got tinted windows?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I always wave at you, but then I realize, the windows are tinted." Right? So you're right. It's sort of interesting, the relationships that we have. But he says, "Oh, my wife works at the junior high school. We go and feed the lizards on the weekend." And so
the Poe Center is right across the way here, which is a wonderful cultural center.
It's
and
an incredible valley.
Yeah.
On so many levels. Incredible farmers up and down the valley. Everything you could possibly want.
Yeah. It's nice to live embedded in that history and take on the responsibility of preserving a little of the knowledge and creating a little space for other people and sharing the flowers. And
yeah, it feels right on time.
Yeah. So again, there's if you want to learn more about all this and meet Sydney, you can come to Santa Fe Art Institute, which is on the Midtown campus. There's signs as you drive in there. That's off of St. Michael's Drive, which is not a long street, so you'll be able to find it. Or you can look it up online, Santa Fe Art Institute, where
open studios, 5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 7:30 on Wednesday, September 17th. So you'll have information.
And it's not just me; it's a wonderful cohort of really interesting artists, and we're all working in community. So it'll be interesting to experience different manifestations of artists working with community engagement, as the center.
Yeah. I found it so interesting when I was listening to that video with Maximiliano Oliver Juan. He was talking about like he was born really big and then he grew really fast, and so when he was 6 he started doing yard work for people around Nambe.
Yeah.
And he was just sort of going through in this conversation the history of his work life, and I'm sure just a small part of it, because it sort of then went on to other things. Yes. But he did yard work. He worked at Nambe Mills making those bowls and platters and things. Doing foundry work. Then he cut hair at
the junior high school across the street, because one of the teachers recognized he was really skilled.
Right, he cut hair for some other people, and they said, "Oh, you cut hair, you want?" And they set him up and bought him a barber's chair, a professional barber's chair, and he got 25 cents a haircut or something. And I loved, he said, he had lots of money because he was doing all this work from a young age. And you said, "Oh, well, what'd you do with it?" And he's like, "I just bought a lot of candy."
Here. At the store.
Right. And that gets back to the times, because he's older, so this was probably in the 50s or so. Candy was a luxury. It was a super wonderful, special thing. Yep. So, but he still has all his teeth.
I know. He's so incredible.
He doesn't have diabetes.
Yes, and he is the father of many artists. He is an artist, and one of the other things he bought was a car.
Right.
Did you get to that part?
Yeah, 48
you're so good.
Mercury coupe.
Yep.
With lots of chrome. Yep. Black.
Yep. You can imagine him cruising.
He sold it for $250. He's kicking himself still.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the richness. I mean, what a human being. And, my New Mexico education was experienced in Chimayo through, the secretary of my water association who would, told me, do you know why there's that narrow fence headed south? No, well, that's where we used to walk to haul water. And hauling water was a full-time job for the girls in the house, And when I, had a wood-burning stove and an outhouse, it's like they taught me, like, I don't know how you take care of an outhouse. They taught me, oh, no, you need to put lime in there and you do this and a little wood ash and a little this and that. So much of the kind of traditional, rural education. And so it really is... I don't know how we'll share it, but already the sharing that I've experienced has been really profound.
Yeah. I find it interesting looking at... we'll go to our last break and then we'll be back. You're listening to Coffee and Culture. My name is Matthew Chase Daniel, and I'm talking with Sydney Cooper. You're back listening to Coffee and Culture. My name is Matthew Chase Daniel. I'm talking with Sydney Cooper. You can find podcasts of this and other shows look for Coffee and Culture with Matthew Chase Daniel, or listen on the radio at 103.7 just after 2 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. I share the hosting with Richard Eads and Talia Puria. Anyway, I was going to say... it was interesting also, just to get back to the guy, to Juan, who does or Max, or Oliver. Oliver is how many? Yes. So he worked at Nambe Mills, then he did the haircuts, then he worked at an appliance store in Espanola and learned how to fix televisions, and he says he learned a lot there. Then he moved to Los Angeles, and he worked maybe for General Motors and for Hunter Douglas or some defense company or something. He didn't like it. He quit that. It was too far. He didn't have a car. Then he didn't like L.A. He came back. He worked for the ports of entry doing inspections in New Mexico. Then he worked in the legislature as an aide or something. It's just so beautiful to see that progression. Yes.
And how I did a project for a show I was in San Francisco, a site-specific show. Mm-hmm. And it was my job to facilitate other people's artworks in a way, and I know you're very familiar with this. And you and Jerry have done that project where people are holding an object that kind of is...
Yeah, e pluribus unum, some object that has some personal significance, and black and white portrait.
Right, yeah. And there is... I love that project. I really love that project, and it has such resonance. And when I was in the Tenderloin, I needed to find a way to facilitate art projects with many people who are homeless, unhoused, transient in some way in their lives. But also in the Tenderloin is the highest concentration of children in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. At the time, Vietnamese immigrants. I don't know what the population is right now. But I was just thinking about, with Oliver, the through line being, the question could have been all the jobs I've ever had, right? Yeah. And then you can, using that thread, really get a picture of someone's life, personality, choices, interests, intelligence, on and on. Curiosity or not, right? Some people have one job, right? Yeah. And
so many people from rural northern New Mexico, men particularly, left home to go work in potato fields up north, or doing agricultural work, or go to LA to work industrial jobs when there wasn't work here. Yep. And it really affected the history and the life and the culture in these villages, because all of a sudden a lot of the men were gone.
Absolutely.
And then it's a lot of the farming fell off, and then the national forest was established, and they couldn't graze their sheep up in the mountains as much, or their cattle. And so the subsistence agriculture fell apart, and people had to pay taxes. And subsistence agriculture, it's hard to pay your taxes.
Exactly. We
And
were talking about a connection, about a project you're working on with David for the site biennial.
Yeah, David Horvitz is a LA artist like you, Japanese and Jewish,
Woohoo!
and like you, grandparents in concentration camps, or not
Well,
internment camps,
yeah,
as
we
they
call
were
them both
called.
things.
Yeah, detention camps. There's a lot of parallels to what's going on now in detention camps. Anyway, David's working on a project with Axel, and it's part of Site's big international Once Within a Time that's happening now. Anyway, it's about apples and cats and wood carving and clay and a murder that happened, men walking to the camp in Lordsburg from the train crossing and getting shot by one of the guards, and their graves. And I went and visited one of the graves in El Paso, which is at Fort Bliss Cemetery. And on my way there, as I crossed the New Mexico-Texas border, just maybe 3 miles, 5 miles from the cemetery is the largest detention camp being built right now out of vinyl tents to house thousands of people.
And my 95, sorry aunties, I'm going to give your names, 95 ages, 95 and 85-year-old aunties who were interned and are social justice warriors, filmmakers, artists, educators, have taken buses from San Francisco, where they live, Bay Area, where they live, to these detention camps to protest.
Wow.
This is completely traumatizing for them.
Yeah, because of their
parallels.
experience.
Yeah, the parallels. And I was thinking about what you were saying about the families living in the northern New Mexico villages, very similar. We were just at my job site.
Yeah.
And, they've all left their families and are working and sending money home and doing the best they can for their communities. And this is a universal story.
Yeah.
And to have, it's a bit of a jump from the camps to immigration, but not so much, because who's in the camps now, right?
Right. Right. Well, and a lot of the people in World War II who were rounded up the day after Pearl Harbor was bombed were already on lists.
Yeah.
And they were mostly Japanese citizens,
Yeah.
not American citizens, or
no,
a little
my
both.
grandmother was born in Los Angeles, and she was sent immediately, as well as anyone else, and they had 24 hours to get their stuff together.
Right. Was the camp? I think the camp here in Santa Fe was all men.
Yes, the camp in Santa Fe were the resistors and political organizers who were, doubly punished, removed from their families, and this was more of a prison.
Right. Whereas in Colorado, it was just
relocation, concentration camp.
keep them here and not communicating with the outside world.
Well, as you said about some of the men interned in Santa Fe, they were able to work. And shop at the local hardware store or whatever, but they had to stay in their camps. Yeah.
And a lot of them were, the ones who were detained originally were community leaders, religious leaders, community organized.
It was everyone. In Los Angeles, it was everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone in the Japanese community. There was no one who was immune. Everyone was taken away.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was different in different places. East of, I think, Utah. You just...
Right. There were many more Japanese immigrants living in the West Coast and Hawaii.
Yeah. But if you were living in, Milwaukee, you were immune.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Anyway. Back to here. We were talking about parallels in our work. So what is this project? The Pie Project.
So David's project is, because the men in the Santa Fe camp, some were allowed to go to Tesuque and work in apple orchards, and there's still apple orchards in Tesuque. So it's baking apple pies for sale out of Axel by order. And
With art inside?
yes, so also there was a cat carved out of wood by a Christian minister from Hawaii who was, I think from Hawaii, who was detained in Santa Fe. And that's in the New Mexico History Museum now.
Oh, wow.
And so it's making clay cats in workshops that are open to the community. You can sign up if you hear this and want to at axelart.com. There's a link to a calendar and you can sign up. That's Wednesday and Thursday, the 17th and 18th. And those cats are then fired in a kiln and then baked into these apple pies. And the apple pies also have miso and buckwheat, traditional
Yum.
Japanese culinary ingredients. So it's sort of the all-American apple pie, but Japanese-ified. And with the artwork and also a screen print on the box that the pie's delivered in. So that's one part of it. And then there's also glass marbles that are
Cast
hand
from
blown
the arroyo.
in LA with some dirt from the site where these two men were murdered by a guard at the Lordsburg camp. So there were two camps in New Mexico. So David really wanted to focus on both camps.
Cool.
So there are those marbles, photographs of the graves of those men, some other stuff. That's sort of the quick version.
Wonderful.
Oh, we got to finish up.
Okay.
Thank you, Sydney.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
please come to the SFAI, Santa Fe Art Institute open house, Wednesday, September 17th, 5:30 to 7:30. And you have a website, too, where people can learn more about your work?
Yes, sydneycooper.com. How about
Yeah.
that?
That's good.
Early
good.
adopter.
Yeah, good getting that URL. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sydney. It's been a real
you.
pleasure.
Really great. Thank you.